客人经常会问这个问题啊，谁给你保证你有6%的？你怎么知道他会得到6%？到底投资在哪里呢？那这个问题我觉得特别好啊。其实呢，人寿保险比 Roth 比 taxable 还要好，为什么呢？你们想一想，其实大家都没有 guarantee。我现在做人寿保险也没有告诉你这是 guarantee， 那你放在 Roth 里也是没有 guarantee 的。如果你要 guarantee， 你只能放在银行，对吧？那么大家都是这样跟着市场跟市场有一定的关系。人寿保险其实反而是比 taxable income、taxable 的 account 和 Roth account 更加保险。为什么呢？因为他的钱其实没有真正的投资在股票市场里面。Right, Ron? I remember in LIRP, especially in the index universal life, the money is not directly invested in the market. It's only mirroring the index, right? It's kind of complicated. Can you explain it to us?
Absolutely. You are correct. So a LIRP strategy is very similar to a Roth where, you know, the assets grow tax-free, but it gets a lot better. With the LIRP and how it's structured, there is no downside risk. There's no market risk to the downside. So if the market drops 50%, your Roth will be exposed to that fluctuation. With a LIRP, there's zero downside risk. So you might ask, how does that work? How does that make sense? So through the use of options, the insurance company can offer a guarantee floor and a guarantee cap using options. So basically, if the market goes up 18%, you may only make 10. But if the market drops 30 or 40, 50%, you lose zero. Okay, that's one of the uniqueness of this type of strategy.
Ron, I really think you're going to explain it in plain English, right? I don't think you need plain English. You need to explain this in examples.
Yes. Yeah, that's why we call it, retirement in plain English. Right. Okay. Let's break it down to years. Okay. And notice the stair stepping. So let's say we have a cap year. That's where your cap comes into play. The market returns, let's say S&P, you're indexing, you're mirroring an index. So the S&P returns, let's say 15% that year, but you only get 10%. That's your cap. Okay, the next year it's a floor year. Let's say the market, like it did 2 months ago, drops 25%, 30%, or in 2008, drops almost 40%. You lose zero. There's a floor. Okay, that's your floor year. And then you also have your in-between year. Let's say your cap is 10%, and that year the S&P returns 8%. You get all of the 8. So it's stair steps. Notice the stair stepping. This is the power behind what they call index strategies, where you never have a down year. And number two, very powerful, you never give back gains, Justine. So just think of it as in terms of that floor, cap. It's stair stepping all the way up. And that's the power of the strategy.
就是你从来不会丢钱 You mean never lose money, right?
Never lose money. And never give back. That's the key. Never give back money.
Yeah, 我们也可以看一下那个历史上的数据。下一页给大家解释一下的就是历史的数据是这样的。红颜色的就是过去20年的标普指数每年的波动。大家看到还是很好的，美国的经济在过去的20年还是在往上走的。平均我觉得应该也有6%到8%之间，我忘记具体的数字了。但是它每一年有波动，上上下下，它不是一个直线上升。但是蓝色的呢，就是用的刚才讲的保险公司的那个 equity indexing 的这个 strategy， 什么意思呢？就是每次那个标普跌的时候它是0，每次上升的时候它有的时候不会上升到这么高，但是它有一个 cap。大家可以看到这个蓝颜色的这个 indexing 的这个 equity indexing 的要比那个真正的 S&P 500要好很多很多，是不是？原因就是因为如果你用了 indexing 的话，你就不会跌，不会跌你就不用再先爬上来再往上走，你就是一直在往上走的。所以对risk tolerance 不是太高的朋友的话，我觉得这个是一个非常非常完美的vehicle。Ron, I know you do a lot of these LIRP products for your clients. Is there any way you can show us one of your real clients, real indexing credit in the past 10 years? Let's
Absolutely.
go.
Absolutely. I pull up right here. This is a client that we had that started with us and had a LIRP strategy in 2009. And these are actual returns of what his policy showed. So as you can see, 2009, 2010, 14%, 12%. We had some 0 years. As you can see, 2011, 2015 were 0 years. Okay. 2018 was a 0 year. And in 2019, we had 10.5%. So if you average the credits, the returns on this client's policy, average right around 9.68%. And Justine, it varies depending on how the market performs and when they start, when they don't start. But you're going to see returns as low as 5 to 6%, as high as 12, 13, 15%. So it varies in a range like anything else. But the most important thing you got to take away is that zero downside risk. And number two, never giving back your gains. That's the power.
I do have a question here, Ron. I have people ask me,
sure,
why the cap changes and how do they change? And how do we know it changes? That's confusing.
It is. So the insurance company, they apply quants, that determine every year. For example, I have these policies for myself, for my wife, for my family. And, one of the strategies we deploy, it's a crediting strategy, what they call point to point, year to year. So every year we get to reset and say, okay, what's the crediting strategy that we're going to deploy for the next year? At that point, because insurance companies are using options to create the floor and the cap, those options are based on current market conditions, current market volatility, current market expectations. So they're going to figure out what the pricing are, because they're always going to give you a guaranteed floor, but the cap is going to be determined by what the current market is giving you. So that's what determines whether your cap is going to be 10 or 12 or 15. Okay. So it really is a quantitative look analysis every year, Justine, is how they
So before I put in my premium, let's say if I pay annually, I will know what's my cap, because nobody's going to know next year this time, right?
Correct.
But at least the insurance company will let me know what is the cap, what's the floor. And the floor is always at least 0, right? I heard some companies may have 1, but most companies 0, right? So that changes a little bit. Okay.
And this is the main reason why, Justine, that you want to work with a qualified advisor that knows what he's doing and how to structure these situations, because you can index to the S&P, you can index to NASDAQ, you can index to the Russell, you can actually index to the gold index. Okay,
really?
So my own personal policies, I look at, I want exposure, I want index, I want zero downside risk, but I want to index to the S&P, but I also want to index to gold, because I know if the stock market has pressure and it's coming off, okay, I may not get the returns I want in my index, even though I have zero exposure. Gold will start to run, right? So I have exposure into gold on the upside. So you have to work with an advisor that understands how to construct these things and look at how to blend these different indices into your portfolio. So that's the key.
Good. That's good. Yeah, I did get. I always get a lot of questions about how this crediting strategy works. I remembered there was once John talked about a story about a house. Whether you want to sell that house, I always think that's a really, really good analogy, right? Do you remember that one?
I do.
Yeah. I'm going to speak that in Chinese. Hopefully you follow me, okay? You need to improve your Chinese, right?
Yes.
就是这个 equity indexing， 我记得以前听我一个老师说过一个很好的故事，就是说如果你的房子今天值50万，那么我来敲门，我说如果你的明年这个房子是100万的话呢，你只能卖给我，你不能卖给别人，那么我今天先给你5000块钱。那明年这个房子如果到不了500万的话呢，没什么。到不了100万的话呢，我就不买了。真的超过了100万，我也只能买给你。他就用这个故事来告诉我们，这个保险公司是怎么来做这个用 option 来使得你的钱不 lose， 就是你从来不会 lose 你的 money。但是当 market 上去的时候，你不一定得到它的100%的这个 upside。Anyways， 我可能扯得有点远了。OK，let's go back to that 9.6.8 annual return。Right, and that's after tax. 大家想一想，这个是差不多10%的 after tax yield， 到哪里看都是不错的。作为会计师，我们经常说的就是说，你永远要看你的 after tax return， 还要看你这个 风险和回报的比例。